I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
Let's take a look at what the president seems to be saying about Donald J. Trump. He's saying he's not going to be the next commander-in-chief. But the president's a very smart guy. He must be looking at the polls. Take a look at them. Quinnipiac's got new numbers out now saying Trump's got a prohibitive lead almost across the country. You look in Nevada, big lead. South Carolina, big lead. Among evangelicals, who many felt that group would be a big inroad for Cruz, maybe Carson, but certainly Cruz, not so much. He's got over 40% of evangelicals as well. But it does raise a question that may wind up supporting the president's conclusion, which is, how is Trump getting to that level of popularity, and may he wind up hurting himself within the party so much as a result? Let's discuss with Katrina Pierson, Trump campaign's national spokesperson. Katrina, always good to see you. What I'm talking about is this notion of mutually assured destruction that's starting to circle around your man, Donald Trump, that what he's saying may be making him popular, but may be hurting Republicans. No less than Mark Levin is making the case against him now. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The fact that he attacked George Bush as a commander-in-chief, not because he disagreed with him, but he attacked him as a liar who knew there were not weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and said he was responsible for 9/11 and he was responsible for those towers coming down. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why I posted on my Facebook, this guy sounds like Code Pink, sounds like a radical kook. All the rest aside, all of it aside, I know too many Gold Star families who lost sons over there to hear this 9/11 truther crap, which is pretty close to it. Pretty damn close to it.
So, what is your reaction to a not-so-happy Mark Levin and his millions of listeners?
Well, you know, I think there's some credibility issues here, considering how Mark Levin is supporting Ted Cruz and has a member working in the senator's office. But, you know, if I was a Ted Cruz supporter, I wouldn't be happy right now, too. I mean, you mentioned the statistics on the evangelical voters of Mr. Trump getting 40%. But I will say this. Donald Trump did not say that it was George Bush's fault. He said George Bush didn't keep us safe, and there are 3,000 families that agree with that, particularly when you're talking about the campaign that Donald Trump launched back in June. The whole premise was border security, and then we got into the Muslim immigration from hostile nations. These are all things that should have been the top priority of all presidents in the past, and they weren't, Chris.
However, Katrina, we both know that Donald Trump went farther than that with respect to the war, at least initially. I know sometimes he gets out over his skis and then backs up, and he did here. But the word lying and it being attached to what the president's motivation and the administration's motivation was then was, at a minimum, implied, if not explicitly stated, by Donald Trump. He then backed off it. But you do have to own the original statement as well, especially when it's such anathema to Republicans. Nobody says that about President Bush on the left, let alone the right.
Well, Donald Trump is the outsider. He's not inside the echo chamber or the hall of mirrors, per se. You know, he's saying exactly what happened. They said there were weapons of mass destruction, and there wasn't. We are still in the Middle East today. How many years and how many lives is it going to take a step back and reevaluate this process? When you're talking about somebody like Jeb Bush, who's hired a lot of the same people that were the architects of this war, how is he going to get us out of this? No one's questioning the leadership that George W. Bush put forth after 9/11. Jeb Bush is no George Bush.
Look, I understand what the point of attack is. I understand about broadening the tent. I'm just saying that at some point, he's going to need the party. He's going to need people. You say he's an outsider. He's been an outsider. He's been inside. He's been all over the place. One of these malleability is a strength of him. However, what you're saying about the war, yes, there are people who believe you about that, may even agree, but they ain't going to be voting for you in primaries, a lot of them. And the party's not going to like it. And then the stuff about the party. They fix the debates. They have people in the audience there specifically to boo me. The party says it's not true. Why make war with the RNC? Why make war with your own?
Well, I think you'd have to go back the last couple of cycles and ask the RNC why they've made war with their own base. One of the reasons that have given rise to someone like Donald Trump is because you've had the party try to stomp out its own base, criticizing them, calling them names over the last couple of cycles. So this really is an RNC problem. Donald Trump has put people back in politics. And yes, some people may not like what he says or how he says it, but at the end of the day, we're seeing a lot of people and new people coming in behind Donald Trump because of the policies. This is very important moving forward. When we look at the type of crowds that Mr. Trump is bringing, he has broadened the fence. There are libertarians supporting Donald Trump, veterans supporting Donald Trump, millennials, minorities. There is a broad spectrum there.
You think it's the policies, or do you think it's the pot shots? That he is appealing to people in a way that certainly overrides the brain, which is the stomach and the heart, that they like what they're hearing from him, and it's not necessarily policy talk, it's about how everybody and everyone stinks.
Well, I'm going to say it's policy first, because the immigration policy that was put out is really what catapulted him to the top, and that's where he's been this whole time. But you're right, there is a combination of the political correctness that just is non-existent in our campaign, and I'm very proud of that. Because not only do we have to fight back against the establishment in the party, but we're going to have to fight back against liberals and the media, and the only way to do that is to have someone bold enough and courageous enough to say what needs to be said.
Last question, very popular one among people on social media when they knew you were going to be coming on. They want to see where the money went from the big event, the $6 million. They want to see which groups got it, how it was allocated. They say it hasn't been put out yet. I couldn't find it on the site. Is that something that you could put up or explain for us?
Absolutely. There is a list on the website. That list, I think it was 22 or 23 organizations that received the money. I just saw an article yesterday of one of the organizations that received a $100,000 check, and they were surprised. But there are some articles coming out now of those organizations that did receive those checks, and the list is on the website.
All right, good. Katrina Pierson, thank you very much. Appreciate you being on New Day.
Great to be here.